my coffees are not toasting. Hold on. Now I forgot the sound. Here we go. I got my coffee that is not so great for me, but I love it. 919. Man, coffee. It's been a part of my life since I was like 4 years old. Apparently, I loved coffee as a kid. So I'm bringing out my notes. Like, we're getting serious. Seriously. Seriously. Get it? If you get it, you get it. All right. So I am getting at my notes, and it is simply because I've started to write down what I feel called to talk about. Because this channel, like I've said a million times, I'm probably going to say it a million more, is about me allowing what wants to come through, come through. And it's simply about just freaking put that camera up, hit play, upload. I'm working on it. I do hit play, and there's still a lot of self-judgment. So it's it's I'm having a harder time just putting them out there. You know, I have done it sometimes, and I'm still judging myself for it. And the same story is running in the back of my head that has been every single time I've made content, and it's basically what I'm working on. It's my self-worth. It's I'm not worthy of being heard. I'm not worthy of being seen. I'm not worthy of blah 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 being listened to. And from there is this very simple. So nobody will watch. Nobody will see this. Nobody will like this. Nobody likes it. Don't say that. That's weird. You can't say that. They're not gonna approve. And this goes into the persecution imprint, because on another level I couldn't care less. But then that persecution imprint part of me cares a lot. And I've been challenged with a lot of stuff lately, especially this summer. It was actually very rough, especially start of the summer. It was very rough because all these things just came piling on top of each other almost at the same time, of really like triggering that persecution imprint. Um, so yeah, I will open up my book. I wrote a little bit and just see if one of the themes that I've put down call to me in a way, if you know what I'm talking about, if you know what I'm talking about. Releasing the need to save humanity is definitely something I'm going to talk about, but not now. Okay, yeah, yeah. I'm going to talk about today, man, these flares are, I love them and I don't at the same time. This, this one, I don't, I mean, but if I tip the camera that much, you freaking can't see my head, which is weird. So we can't do that. Oops. And that is way better. So I'm just gonna have to roll with it. Rolling with it. This is me rolling with it. You see how I roll? I'm so good at rolling with it. Yeah. I never have the need to control anything. Okay. Stop it. I today. You know why? Because I'm about to get my period. Apparently, according to my app, there's still like 5, 6 days, whatever. But I notice better and better. Oh, something's coming up. because I'll get more around my ovulation, around my period, or before. I get more, uh, definitely more sensitive. And I do think a doctor said this. I heard, I was like, wow, that is exactly what I believe too. You know, when people say something and you haven't been able to put words on it, but someone else does, and you're like, yes, exactly. Thank you. I don't remember her name right now. She was one of those people that were judged during the C19, whatever, you know. Anyway, she said it's those 2 times of our monthly cycle is a gift to womanhood because it will bring up, it will just intensify everything, which we know, right? And it will bring up any shadow that we yet have to heal, or where there is room for expansion. I love that. It will bring up anything where there's room for expansion. Oh, that's a freaking post right there, right? So, which is liberating and empowering at the same time to know, because when we move around about our cycles and everything gets more intense, like for example, for me, I just cannot sometimes freaking figure out what to wear. Like nothing works. Everything is right. That's how it feels within me. Oh my gosh, I love that image on the screen. There's a butterfly. That's so beautiful, and the sun is coming out. Oh. Right. So it brings up everything where there's room for expansion. So when I just nothing works and I feel like, for example, I'll get bloated, which annoys me right now because I'm doing this medical medium thing, and then I'm like, but what am I not doing right? Right? I start judging myself more. I will get more, a little bit more edgy. And I do think that it is my responsibility to handle myself. I do not believe in blatantly just, or that is not the right word, in being victim of it. That's why I said empowering, right? I do not believe in being a victim of it and going, oh, everyone else needs, you know, my circumstances now need to change because I'm going through this stuff and poor me. Not at all. I believe that it is my responsibility to handle my shit, and that may be bleeped out. And when it gets more intense, my shadow gets stronger or it gets more obvious. You know, I just have to be more aware and not fall victim of it, and thus acting upon it unconsciously, right? Becoming conscious of all our shadow makes us empowered, because we can then choose whether or not to respond to what we're feeling or whatever energy is coming up. If we are not conscious, we will fall victim of whatever is coming up, because we will just have a reaction. And people are like, well, every action has a reaction. Yeah, well, and that's also a reaction, I guess. It's a response. You know, but I feel like when people say that, sometimes they're like, but every action has a reaction. So, you know, if I have an emotion, I'll have a reaction. But to me, that's a very victim mentality, to almost claim that I can't help it. I can't help it. I think we've moved on from there, though, as humanity, most of us. We can no longer say, I had to do this because you did so and so. I don't think we do. Well, people probably do, but not in my reality, they don't. We take responsibility for our actions because we're pretty conscious, right? But that is a very empowered state around our period. So I could definitely tell. And that's probably also why I'm like, oh, speaking. No, I don't feel as good in my skin as I can do sometimes. Um, and I just heard eating disorder. So I'm not going to talk about what I actually thought. I'm going to talk about my eating disorder. Yeah, there are, because this channel is all actually about sharing my journey, and my journey started when I was born, or maybe before, right? Um, and that's it. And I'm going to shamelessly share that because part of me is telling me that you can't do that. That's so narcissistic. That's so selfish. You're just obsessing with your about your own. You're just obsessed about yourself. You just want to share because you just want attention. Part of me is saying that, and I just need to answer that part and say, if that was true, I would have been way louder than I have been, and I actually would have promoted all the videos that I put out there and all the programs and all and all my products and everything, but I don't, and I haven't, because I'm terrified of anyone seeing me, which is hysterical. I put all this work down. You have no idea how many years I've worked on my coaching programs, my online programs, how many times I've made my online program before I was willing to sell it. It was the third time, and don't be mistaken, it was the third time the product was done and I actually had it ready to sell that I sold it. The other time, I think I made it like 5, 6 times, and meaning I filmed all the videos, like 20, 30 of them, and made all the assignments and everything. I did that like so many times before I was willing to even sell it. And then I tried it on a group of like 6 people or something. They all loved it. They had huge changes. Like, it all worked really well. And I still haven't kept selling it, because that's the persecution BS. So me freely speaking and sharing my story is apparently way harder for me than I would have thought, based upon my personality, which is strange because I love this image too on the television. I'm sorry, I'm looking at it because it's like, that's my home. That's where I live. It's actually multicolored glass, and I would never have that. But still, there's a glass looking out on this porch, and then outside there's the ocean and palm trees. It's just absolutely beautiful. So me freely speaking about my story, yeah, apparently I'm running straight into that. I'm running straight head in, straight onto the persecution. Like, I'm terrified. I'm terrified of being persecuted. And part of me just wants to stop this video. I don't want to share it. I don't understand. I've been babbling and rambling on for so long. This is bullshit. Part of me saying this is bullshit. So when I'm sharing these thoughts with you, it's not me being a victim and feeling sorry for myself about it. I just want to make that clear right now. I need to make like a short video about that. I do not feel sorry for myself about any of this stuff. I am simply sharing because I'm getting pretty good at acknowledging what's really going on in the subconscious. Like, I'll pick a thought and I'll dig underneath it, and I'll allow whatever is underneath it come through, and we'll hear pretty weird things that in our current, like in our day-to-day world, it doesn't seem like it, right? So sometimes when I share these deep unconscious beliefs that I find that I have, I see that people sometimes can misunderstand it for being like, no, you don't think that, you know better. I'm like, of course I know better. my limited 5% brain knows better. That's not the point. My conscious brain understands, what I'm sharing is the subconscious programming. And I think that people don't, it just goes to show that most people don't understand how negative our subconscious programming really is. In a lot of us, in most of us, I think that's my personal belief, hence what goes on in reality right now. So that our programming is way more negative than we probably realize. When I share, it actually made some people sound like I'm kind of whining about it, like, oh, poor me, I found out that I believe this about myself. I'm so sorry for myself. But I'm not sorry for myself. Oh my gosh, all these beautiful images. Thank you. And now we have cherry blossoms. Like, these are all the things that I love. Every time I open my eyes, and it's not by chance, right? So, coffee. And I just heard someone think, yeah, because you need more coffee. No, probably don't. I just love it. So, for example, then let's just move into the eating disorders. Yeah, because this channel is about me moving into sharing my story because that's what I feel called to do. Uh, from the part of me that wants me to just freaking open the camera and start talking. And right now, I just felt like freaking crying because I'm like, but I don't want to. Yeah, which I kind of love. And I'm very grateful that I actually am in a place where I'm right now. I felt like, and that's exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be in where, in the parts of me where I'm scared. And that was just actually confirmation that I'm moving into the right place because I've kind of been like, what the hell am I doing with this? Right? Can you tell this whole tug and pull, whatever, tug war that I'm in with ego and soul trying to, how interesting is that? So I hope that I guess I just need to trust that for some person out there, this will be of value. And I can't do more than that. I can just open up, share, and trust, right? So that's what I've chosen to do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking right now. So then, yeah, I'll just move into the eating disorders and I'll get to all the parts. I'll get to it, definitely. Because as a child, I was one of those that you've probably heard a lot of people say, and that to me just means that we came here with a purpose that we were very clear about, that we knew as children that what we came here for was really important. Some people knew way more details than I ever knew. I just know one thing that I remember being here as a very young child, maybe 2, 3 years old, four, I don't know. And I remember thinking, which is weird to think about now, how the hell was I thinking about stuff like that? That I came here for something really important. Um, and when I don't look at the camera, it's actually because I'm doing my best to get the information from the part. You can sometimes tell I'm closing my eyes of inside, you know, in the depths, and I'm trying to get the right information. So when I also look places, it's because I'm getting information. My conscious mind doesn't remember much, but I do remember this. I do remember feeling and thinking, I was here. It's a really big deal. I'm doing something that's a really big deal. I'm doing something that's a really big deal. And in my limited child mind, I saw a stage. I I saw myself on a stage, and I thought I was a pop star. That I was going to be a pop star, which I obviously don't want to be. And then I thought I was going to be a dancer, so I started dancing. And I didn't have the guts to tell anyone that I wanted to dance until I was like 16, and then I just started dancing at 16, and it went really well. So I actually danced for 2.5 years, and then I got into the National College for Dance, Arts and Crafts and Dance, whatever, and that was like a big deal, and I was so shocked because I felt like I really could not dance, and somehow I made it into that prestigious school. But there's a purpose behind everything all around this whole. There's a purpose behind it all, right? So I was supposed to go there, and then from there, I actually moved to New York City, and I went to this dance school, Martha Graham School of Contemporary Dance. I did their whole program, all the teacher stuff, and I was there for 3 years in the school, and then we had this post program, so we could stay another year, and then I actually got this really good lawyer to help me out. So I certified as a personal trainer, and I was able to work as a certified personal trainer with a visa. I actually had the possibility to stay for like 6 years. It was awesome. But in the middle of that, or in the after just a year, I spent 5 years in Manhattan, and then right now I open my eyes and there's a picture of Manhattan. This can't be Manhattan. Level one. That is like way too random. It's not random. It's like I think it is. When I see it, I miss it. And then I felt so aligned that I was actually kind of overwhelmed. Um, I spent 5 years there, and but so in that fifth year, A lot of stuff crumbled, and I guess that was meant to be because it made me come back home. And then as I came back home, my father had actually asked my sister, which I listened to her always. She's older than I am. I've always she's always been such a beautiful figure in my life. And he had asked, like, can you talk to her and make her stay? So she convinced me to stay back home, which is Norway, and I stayed in Norway. It's actually more vulnerable to talk about the story than I thought, so that's really interesting. So I came back home, and after a while, I met what was my husband, and the children came, and whatever, all that stuff, all that jazz. So I thought, I guess, for the longest time, that this big deal thing was being a dancer, because there were a couple of things. It was a very big deal, and I really, really wanted to make people smile. Like I wanted to see people smile. So I was always like a joke. I was always the clown, right? I would always try to make people laugh. I also think part of that was being taking emotional responsibility for people, which I think a lot of Starseeds light workers can resonate with that. That we grew up doing that, right? And then I wanted to become a personal trainer. Like I said, I became a personal trainer while being in New York, Manhattan, and that really just I loved it. Still love it actually. I still love helping people train. I just don't do it right now, but absolutely loved because the people after a session they could come in and be kind of and then it came out with so much. Like it, I can't explain. They came out as new people every single time. It was absolutely amazing to be able to help them through and just like refill their storage, I guess, or their stores, their energy stores. So that was a very exciting time. I was also an instructor, and I became a certified yoga teacher. I've certified in all kinds of things, corrective exercise, like these. What do you call those? It's called red cord. The cords that come from the ceiling, and then you use suspension training, right? All this kind of good stuff because I really enjoy going in depth. And that's also obviously because of my dance training. I love going in depth and going into the detail and really correcting and helping the body thrive physically, right? And then as I came back to Norway, I had been kind of obsessing with bodybuilding like my whole freaking life. I remember asking my sister to draw bodybuilders for me. She's really good at drawing and painting. And I would like copy them all over the place. I was so fascinated with it. So in 2011 was the first time I actually competed in fitness, in body fitness. And I did pretty well the first time. I was very shocked. Again, I got second place in the Norwegian, the nationals. And then I got sent to the Nordic, and then I got a second place again. And then I was sent to the World Championship, like the first time that I competed. So I got fourth that one time. And then I competed again later, and I got in the World Championship, and I got second, which is extremely just. I'm so grateful that I was able to do that because through that, I was going to talk about my eating disorders, but see, I got to do both. Through, I'm going to go to work soon. Through talking, through competing, I learned to control my eating, I guess. I learned to eat again because then I had been so deep into my eating disorders, which I have to think back. It started, oh my gosh, it started before. That's the thing. It started way before I started dancing. I started my eating disorder story, I think, started as a 13-year-old. And the weird thing is that I actually looked really up to a couple of anorexic people in town. I don't know if it was because of the attention they got or what, but I saw their extremely skinny bodies and I got so fascinated. Like right now, I was like, maybe it was because they looked like light bodies or something, but I just wanted to be like that. Maybe also it's partly that whole thing about being in a physical body is it feels too dense and I didn't like it. So I didn't want to. So I just wanted to become like them. I just wanted to be like the thinnest, whatever. But when I moved into the bulimic whole thing, because I think I researched like how do they get like that, or I just whatever I at least I thought that it was being bulimic and throwing up. So I taught myself how to throw up. I know, sounds crazy. And I did that for so many years. And the funny thing is that just as with smoking, I used to smoke. I was like I was up at like 20 a day. With the bulimia, I was very conscious. Like there was a huge part of me just knowing and in a way observing myself just moving through this lesson, right? I know that I'm gonna end it, but I'll do it. Not just now, not right now, but I'm gonna get there. And I know it's like I could see it from the outside on one level. So I guess maybe I've been more connected to my other timelines and quantum self that I've ever thought about. So I was very conscious of that, or I was very aware that I was definitely not going to be bulimic for the rest of my life. It was just that I had to do it to learn a lot of stuff, and I did. So when I came back and I started competing, which I guess I started my training for real. I've been training for a while, but I guess I started for real in 2010, training for fitness, and then I competed in 2011. It actually put me on a path of eating instead of just avoid eating and eating like nothing and still throwing up and just it just got me on a very good path for food and eating clean. So eating clean has been a big passion for me for so long. And then I've been competing for a while, and then 2013 I felt this huge void or emptiness around being a personal trainer and not being able to help people truly. I was frustrated that I was kind of hitting my head against the wall, and so were some of my clients, because I knew that okay, it's fun to help them feel physically better, but it's not really helping them on the highest level, right? So I wanted to work more with what was in between the ears, because that's where everything lies correctly. um, and then I started searching around for stuff that I wanted to do with my life, and I found NLP coaching. I think this NLP school that I went to, I was very lucky to meet this woman and go to this particular school. Very beautiful woman, very grounded, very honest, right? So I learned how to take responsibility for my own mind and my programming and my emotions. And, not all students from that school went all in like I did, but it definitely put me on this extreme deep awakening path, spiritual awakening. And I could tell after a while when I kept talking to the friends that I got there, um, I lost them or they lost me. Like I went way deeper. And after a while, I could tell from the way that I talked, they also like, oh my gosh, okay, I don't know. You've gone way further with this than I have. So it was like realizing that, okay, so this is my path. This is definitely my path, because I took what I learned and I used it and I went so deep with it, you know? So that was definitely meant to be for me. So then I found another level of way to help people, right? Because through coaching, you really can empower people. And then I wanted to help on a bigger scale. And then I started moving into this online thing, and it felt so right. I love making videos and whatever. But then I just hit this wall where I was just not able to make it, sort of. And I was never obsessing over, I'm just going to make a lot of money. I was actually just trying to make it work enough so that I could spend more time with family, have a little bit more freedom, and also be able to keep doing what I love. And I felt like I was supposed to. I was banging my head against the wall again for like 8 years or whatever it was before I ended up in the job that I have now. So all of this is basically has brought me to where I'm at, where I'm just loving this whole holistic coaching or holistic way of looking at things, because I believe we're, obviously it's all connected. But I just love that. Okay, so once you start moving into cleaning up your food, you want to start working out maybe, and you start cleaning up basically your physical body, but then you realize that that also has an effect on how you think about yourself. And then you may start on the other end, you may start about, cleaning up your thoughts, and then you realize that it changes how you eat. Because even though I had taught myself how to consciously eat clean, my belief system still didn't really support me until I had changed how I felt and what I believed in with my NLP coaching, right? So that's how I moved into intuitive eating, which was another level, because then it just came from loving myself, right? So that whole journey has definitely strengthened my belief in, okay, if you want to do anything, we need to do it holistically, not just one thing. Doesn't mean that people that do just one thing aren't doing a great job, because we need to do it. You can hop around, and you'll sometimes all you need is maybe to need want at a soul level, need just be to do something in your conscious subconscious mind, and that will just kind of deal with the rest, sort of. But I definitely believe in like getting conscious of the whole package. So then I've been very passionate about that whole thing, but then that passion was really tested and has been really hard, because I've worked so hard to make that work and help people and be of service, and then I just hit the wall and hit the wall and hit the wall. And I guess I realized the last couple of years not working with it, but working running a store instead, which was just about me helping out a friend of the family for 2 months. That's 2 years ago. Realizing how much pain, sort of, and depression I experience not doing what I'm here for. That's how it feels. Not being my mission feels very depressing. That's one thing. And then the other thing is also allowing the way that I was doing it. Hold up. Allowing the way that I was doing it to die, because I was in a very wounded. I believe I was in a very wounded masculine, and I was in a very like do, meaning I'm great at taking action, but I was not allowing, and I was not done healing. I had some really deep core wounds that needed healing, which is persecution imprint, unworthy. Those are the ones that came up through the time that I was here. Like, I've been able to do so much shadow work coming here. It's been amazing. We're also currently in a divorce right now, so that happened these years. Just realizing that, oh, as long as I was in that relationship, I actually just kept stimulating the part of me not feeling worthy, and I was just scared and really afraid of not being correct, not being able to prove in the 3D, right? So it just didn't empower me, right? Or I was not able to move into my own empowerment, which is weird, because that relationship too, I was very conscious of this huge part of me just looking from the outside, looking at me, knowing that this was not sustainable. But I was here to learn, so I just went head in and I just dove down. I'm here to learn, so I'm gonna become the best that I can. I'm gonna become a master of my inner world, so that I'm not a victim of my circumstance. I just went so deep into that, so that I just kind of went to the point of accepting pretty much everything from whatever the relationship, right? Uh, because it was all about me, to the point of almost gaslighting myself, which is kind of weird how that works, right? So anyway, when that relationship ended, I guess there was even more room to go even deeper into the core wound of persecution imprint and unworthy. And also diving into or allowing the divine feminine to come through, meaning the energies of allowing, trusting, accepting, creating, right? So that's where I'm currently at right now, which is partly why I guess that I'm doing this. And there's this voice shaming me this whole video, and I just heard it very loud right now. Just freaking don't share this video. This is so embarrassing. Who the hell wants to hear this? Right? It's so funny. But I believe it. Actually, I can tell. But my argument was I observed it. Part of me wants to say that it's not true, but I'm like, no, but that's probably the more true thing, right? So yeah, that's it's deep. It's a deep wound. It's very stuck, that program still, I guess. But I'm very aware, and that's such a powerful place to be, right? So I guess that's all I have time for right now, and I don't know why I said all that. It's a 36-minute, but it's almost a 40-minute long video. Me messy trying to share what I felt called to share. Not my mind. My mind did not feel called to share this. It's actually working really hard to not share it. So I'm going to leave it at that because I have to go. I'm going to eat this and I'm going to have my detox smoothie, which is downstairs, that I am very excited about. And that I'm going to say thank you very much if you're here and watching, joining me on my journey of allowing the vastness of my soul come through my vessel. All right. Love you. Thank you. Take care.